I grew up in a house where my mother treated me like a delicate jewel. From childhood, I never knew what it meant to wash dishes, sweep a floor, or cook a meal. My mother, Mrs. Carter, would often tell me, "Samantha, you are too special for house chores. Focus on your books and let the housemaids handle the rest." My father, Mr. Carter, was a strict man, but he allowed my mother's softness to rule when it came to me. I was the only daughter in the family, and everything I wanted, I received without question. A new pair of shoes? Granted. A fancy dress for a school event? Granted. Even when I acted spoiled, my mother defended me. "Let her be," she would say to my father. "She is my baby girl." At that time, I felt like a queen. But little did I know that my mother's pampering was shaping me into a woman unprepared for the real responsibilities of marriage. When I met Michael, a hard-working man from a humble background, I thought life would continue in the same pattern. He was charming, responsible, and deeply in love with me. I fell for his kind words and his big dreams. We got married in a small but beautiful ceremony. I moved into his modest home, expecting the same comfort and treatment I enjoyed at my parents' house. I thought I would be served, adored, and never questioned. But marriage was different. Michael believed in partnership and responsibility. He expected me to cook meals, clean the house, and contribute to building our home. The very first week of marriage, he asked, "Samantha, what are we eating tonight?" I stared at him, confused. "Aren't we ordering takeout?" I asked. His face fell. "No, Samantha. We can't live on takeout every day. We need to cook. You're my wife, not a visitor." That night, reality hit me harder than ever. The first conflict came quickly. Michael returned from work one evening, tired and hungry, only to find me sitting on the couch scrolling through my phone. "Didn't you make dinner?" he asked. I looked up casually. I didn't know what to cook. Besides, I thought we could go out and eat. Michael's voice was calm but firm. "Samantha, this is your home now. You can't live like a princess here. We both have to put in effort." I felt insulted. "Are you calling me lazy?" I snapped. He sighed deeply. "I'm asking you to be responsible." I stormed off to the bedroom, angry at his tone. I felt like he didn't appreciate me, but in truth, I didn't know how to be a wife. The next day, I called my mother to complain. "Mom, Michael expects me to cook and clean as if I'm his maid," I said, tears filling my eyes. My mother's voice was sharp. "What nonsense! You are not a house girl. He should hire someone if he wants those things done. You are his wife, not his servant." Her words gave me temporary comfort, but they also added fuel to the fire. I began to see Michael's requests as insults, not responsibilities. Every time he asked me to do something at home, I remembered my mother's words and resisted. Instead of learning, I clung to the pampering I grew up with. But marriage is not built on pampering. It is built on teamwork. And soon, cracks began to appear in our relationship. Weeks turned into months, and our home became a battlefield. I avoided the kitchen. I refused to clean. Michael did what he could, but resentment was growing. One evening, he came home and found dirty dishes piled in the sink and no dinner prepared. He had worked a long shift and was exhausted. "Samantha," he said, his voice trembling with frustration, "this cannot continue. Marriage is about responsibility. You can't keep living like a child. I need a partner, not a burden." His words cut me deeply. For the first time, I realized the truth. My mother's pampering had not prepared me for this life. But instead of admitting my fault, I ran back to my mother's house, crying. She welcomed me, saying, "Don't worry, baby. If he can't treat you like the queen you are, then maybe he doesn't deserve you." Little did she know that her comfort was also my downfall. Back at my parents' home, I felt safe again. My mother fussed over me, cooking my meals and making sure I lacked nothing. She scolded Michael harshly in his absence. Imagine expecting my baby to cook and clean. Does he not know who you are? She said angrily. I nodded, comforted by her defense, but a small voice inside whispered, maybe he is right. I pushed that thought aside. Michael did not call for several days. When he finally did, his voice was firm but calm. Samantha, I love you, but running to your mother every time there's an issue will destroy us. We need to work this out ourselves. I rolled my eyes. If you loved me, you would treat me like my father treated my mother. You are not your mother, he replied, and I am not your father. We have our own marriage to build. His words unsettled me. My friend, Rachel, invited me out for coffee. She had been married 5 years and was someone I admired. After listening to my complaints, she said gently, Samantha, marriage is not about one person receiving and the other giving. It's about balance. If you don't adjust, you'll lose him. I frowned. So you're on his side too? Rachel sighed. I'm on the side of truth. Feeling guilty, I returned to Michael's house, determined to try. But when he asked me to help with laundry, I quickly grew irritated. I can't. I don't even know how these machines work, I shouted. He quietly did the laundry himself. His silence spoke louder than words. One evening, Michael sat me down. His face was serious. Samantha, I married you to be my partner. But if you refuse to learn, refuse to grow, then this marriage will not last. I will not live with a child in a woman's body. Tears filled my eyes. Are you threatening me with divorce? I'm warning you with truth, he replied. I called my mother again, hoping for comfort. Instead, she grew harsher. If he threatens divorce, let him go. You will always have a home here. You don't need to suffer. But my father, overhearing, finally spoke. Mary, stop it. You are not helping her. Samantha, you must learn responsibility. Marriage is not your mother's house. I was shocked. My father had never spoken to me so directly. Michael began to withdraw emotionally. He stopped confiding in me, stopped laughing with me, stopped holding me like before. One night I found him sitting alone in the living room, his head in his hands. What's wrong? I asked softly. He looked at me with tired eyes. I don't know if this marriage will survive. Out of desperation, I tried cooking. I burnt the rice, oversalted the stew, and cried in the kitchen. Michael ate quietly, saying only, "At least you tried." His words gave me a strange mix of comfort and shame. For the first time, I wanted to do better. My mother came to visit unexpectedly. She saw me sweeping the living room and exploded. "What nonsense is this? Samantha, put that broom down. This man has turned you into a maid." Michael stood tall and replied calmly, "With all due respect, ma'am, she is my wife, not my maid. But she is also not a child. She is a partner. If she cannot handle responsibility, then she cannot handle marriage." The room grew tense. My mother left angrily. That night, I lay awake thinking about Michael's words. Partner. Not maid. Not child. Partner. For the first time, I admitted to myself, maybe I am the problem. The next weeks, I tried small things. Washing dishes. Folding clothes. Watching cooking tutorials online. Each time I failed, Michael was patient, though distant. Slowly, I began to see progress. One Sunday, Michael invited his friends over. I tried to cook jollof rice, but it came out half-burnt. His friends laughed kindly, but I was embarrassed. Michael put his arm around me and said, "She's learning. That's what matters." My heart melted. When my mother heard about my attempts at housework, she was furious. Why are you lowering yourself, Samantha? Didn't I raise you better? I finally snapped. Mom, maybe you raised me too soft. Maybe you didn't prepare me for this life. Her eyes widened in shock. For once, I stood my ground. My father called me aside. Samantha, I am proud of you. Your mother meant well, but she forgot that life is not always soft. Keep learning. Keep growing. His words strengthened me. Michael noticed my effort. He began to open up to me again. We laughed more. We ate together. He even taught me how to season chicken properly. Our bond slowly began to heal. One evening, I cooked a full meal, spaghetti, grilled chicken, and vegetables. Michael tasted it, smiled, and said, "This is delicious, Samantha." I cried tears of joy. For the first time, I felt like a wife, not a princess. But growth is never smooth. One day, after a long, tiring attempt at house chores, I thought of giving up. I almost packed my bags for my mother's house again. Then I remembered Michael's words, partner, not child. I stayed. Eventually, my mother visited again. She was surprised to see me cooking confidently. "Baby, you've changed," she said softly. "Yes, Mom," I replied. "I had to. Marriage is not like your house. I must stand on my own." For the first time, she didn't argue. She simply hugged me. Michael began to introduce me to his friends differently. "This is my wife, Samantha. She's my partner in everything." I felt respected, valued, and proud of my progress. One evening, Michael held my hands and said, "Samantha, I see the effort you've made. You've grown so much. I love you more for it." Tears filled my eyes. For the first time, I realized that my mother's pampering had been a cage. Now I was finally free, learning, growing, and becoming the woman I was meant to be. Marriage began to feel lighter. Michael and I talked more, shared our plans, and even laughed at my old mistakes. I started to realize that pampering had kept me dependent, but marriage required independence and contribution. One night as we talked, Michael said, "I never wanted a servant. I only wanted a partner willing to walk this journey with me." I finally understood his heart. We began working on small projects as a couple. We redecorated the living room, painted the kitchen, and even planted flowers outside. Each project taught me patience, teamwork, and responsibility. I began to enjoy the satisfaction of contributing, not just receiving. One day, Michael fell ill with the flu. He could barely get out of bed. For the first time, the responsibility of the home fell completely on me. I cooked porridge, brought him medicine, and cleaned the house. It was exhausting, but when he whispered, "Thank you, Samantha," I felt proud. It was proof that I had grown. When my mother came again, she noticed the joy in my marriage. "You look happy, Samantha," she admitted softly. "Yes, Mom. Because I've learned that love isn't just about receiving. It's also about giving." She sighed. "Maybe I protected you too much. I only wanted you to have an easier life than mine." I hugged her. "And I love you for it. But I needed balance." During a family visit, my father pulled Michael aside and said, "Thank you for being patient with my daughter. She is finally becoming the woman I always knew she could be." Michael smiled. "She has taught me patience, too. We're both growing." It was a moment of reconciliation between the families. I began helping other young women in my church, sharing my story openly. I thought marriage was about being pampered, I confessed to them. But it's about growth, responsibility, and love. Don't wait until your home is in crisis before you learn. Many women listened, some in tears, grateful for my honesty. Michael and I began a small catering business together. He handled logistics while I cooked. At first, I worried I wasn't good enough, but customers loved the meals. Our teamwork deepened our bond. We were no longer husband and wife fighting over roles. We were partners building a future. Even after growing, there were hard days. Once, I burnt food for a big order and cried in frustration. Michael hugged me and said, "It's okay. Mistakes happen. What matters is that you try again." That reassurance reminded me of how far I had come. One evening, while sitting with Michael on the porch, I looked back on my journey. I whispered, if my mother had not pampered me so much, maybe I wouldn't have struggled so much in marriage. Michael smiled. Maybe, but those struggles made you stronger. They made us stronger. And he was right. Years later, I stood in my kitchen, preparing dinner while my children played in the living room. Michael came home, hugged me from behind, and whispered, "My partner, my love." I smiled, tears in my eyes. I had grown from a spoiled, pampered girl into a responsible, loving wife and mother. My mother, once resistant, now admired my strength. My father beamed with pride. The truth was clear. Pampering had shaped me, but marriage had redefined me. And in that redefinition, I found freedom, balance, and love that would last a lifetime.